So talking about living in the moment, I think I'll start off talking about the Olympics. Now, the first reason why I sort of unconsciously boycotted these Olympics is because of, you know, the Dutch guy, who's actually an RAPIST, and not only an RIPIST, but a child RAPIST. And so this was the first reason that I just thought, what? When I saw this as the Olympics was coming up, I thought, what is this? How is this guy allowed to compete? This Steven van der Velde. You know, so you know, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. What is wrong with society? So who is Steven van der Velde, the Dutch child rapist, playing beach volleyball at the Olympics? What? It's like, you know, you feel like you've gone into that parallel universe again. How was he allowed to play in the Olympics? How is society ever going to change? How is it ever going to get better? How, you know, when he was just allowed to play, he's convicted child rapist. He might have, you know, done his time or whatever, but the girl was 12, British girl that he met on Facebook. So he groomed her. He looked for a young girl. So Steven van der Velde is probably the most controversial athlete to appear at the Paris Olympics. Sky News looks at who he is, what he did, and what the reaction has been to his appearance at the Games. So there he is, playing at the... Shut up, Riley. Shut up. Hey. Riley's bossing Rocky about. Riley has his moments, you know. Sometimes he's dead soft, but he gets like all like overexcited. So the start of the Olympics has been marked by the controversial appearance of a child rapist. You can't. I can't. As I'm saying these words, I can't even believe that I'm saying them. On the beach volleyball court, Steven van der Velde was greeted with boos from spectators as he made his Olympic debut in Paris on Sunday. It's just all those words don't go together right, do they? You know, child rapist, Olympic debut. You know, they just don't sort of go together. So who is Steven van der Velde and what did he do? So in 2014, when he was 19, he RAPD'd a 12-year-old British girl. He met his victim on Facebook and travelled from Amsterdam to the UK and attacked the girl at an address in Milton Keynes. Van der Velde was given a 4-year sentence. Now, do you know the Just Stop Oil protesters were given a 5-year sentence? They were given more sentence than this guy. Just Stop Oil, peaceful protests. They might be a pain in the arse, you know, to people, and they might drive people mad, you know, spoiling their trip to work or whatever. But they're peaceful protesters. 5 years. In fact, I think they got 5 years for just planning a protest. So that's so you can't plan a peaceful protest, but you can. It seems go and RAPE a 12-year-old girl and know that you're only going to get 4 years. I think that's disgusting. So the Milton Keynes Citizen, which I take it is a newspaper, now my Rocky is RAPINGing a rug. He does like to do things like that, my little dog, and rugs and cushions. He's like, yeah, hello, have you fallen in love with that little rug? So yeah, the Milton Keynes citizen reported at the time of his sentencing that he appeared via video link at Aylesbury Crown Court and wept. Yeah, he had that got caught outitis that Hugh Edwards has got. He wept as he heard his victim ended up self-harming and taking an overdose. After serving part of his jail term in England, he was sent back to the Netherlands, where his sentence was adjusted according to Dutch laws. You can do more or less anything in Holland, it's got such, British sentencing is crap, but in Holland it's even worse. So he served a combined 13 months in prison in Britain and the Netherlands. Oh my God, it's 13 months. So what have Dutch officials said? The Dutch Volleyball Federation, Neverball, said Van der Velde was proven to be an exemplary professional and human being, and there has been no reason to doubt him since his return. Now, look, I'm all in favour of people getting a second chance with, some things. But come on, I mean, this is RAPE of a 12-year-old girl when he was 19. I don't know. I'm sure I'll come back to the chat in a minute and see what you're all saying about it. But anyway, they added he had their full support and after his release had sought professional counselling. I just can't decide about this. I mean, yeah, he was 19, but his RAPE of a 12-year-old girl, is he really going to change? And he sought out that girl. He went all the way from Holland to the UK to RAPE that girl. He went out of his way to do it, didn't he? So that surely involves a lot of planning and things. It's not just getting caught in the heat at the moment, or I don't know what excuse you could ever find for that, but to actually plan it and go to another country to do it. And how did he end up going to that home? Oh, I don't know. Anyway. So, meanwhile, the country's Olympic Committee said Van der Velde had met all the qualification requirements for the Olympic Games and therefore is part of the team. So obviously a qualification requirement for being part of the Olympic Games is not that you're not a convicted paedophile. What has the International Olympic Committee said about it? A spokesman for the International Olympic Committee deferred to the Dutch and reiterated what national officials have said about extra safeguards in place. Not to excuse it in any way, but this took place 10 years ago. And I think as a general rule, we need to allow for the possibility of rehabilitation. Mark Adams said at the IOC news conference on the day of Van der Velde's debut. And the International Volleyball Federation said it was unable to stop the Netherlands from sending Van der Velde to Paris after he qualified in the usual way. What has Van der Velde said about it? In a statement released by Neverball, Van der Velde said, I understand that in the run-up to the biggest sporting event in the world, this can attract the attention of international media. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, come on. Did he really think that it would escape everyone's attention? I cannot reverse it, so I will have to bear the consequences. It has been the biggest mistake of my life. Getting caught probably has been the biggest mistake of his life. What has the reaction been? Van der Velde was booed when he was introduced to the crowd before the match against Italian pair Alex Rangieri and Adrian Carambula, although there was some applause for his teammate Matthew Immers as they arrived. And Rape Crisis England and Wales has said that his inclusion at the Games was shocking. In a statement, Sky News, the Survivors Trust said, the fact that Van der Velde is allowed to continue his career after admitting the biggest mistake of his life is further endorsement of the shocking toleration we have of child sex abuse. I mean, the thing is, he was lucky that he only ended up serving a few months sentence. For a crime like that, he served, 13 months or something. So he should have, just took that. But oh no, he wanted to do all this as well. The rape of a child was planned, calculated, involving international travel. This is what I'm saying. This wasn't a heat of the moment thing. This was, he knew what he was doing and he planned it and he actually moved from one country to another to do it. And it will undoubtedly cause his victim lifelong trauma, irreversibly changing the course of her life. As a society, we have to start embracing a zero tolerance approach to this heinous and costly crime. His lack of remorse and empathy for his victim. Yeah, because if he had some remorse and empathy for his victim, he probably would have stayed off the telly. How do you think that felt for his victim? So she'll be 22 now, if it was 10 years ago, and she's seeing him there at the Olympics, living his best life while she's dealing with whatever trauma she's dealing with. God, it's beyond belief, really, isn't it? The allowance of his colleagues and the Olympic Committee to promote him to a young audience as a sportsperson to look up to, and therefore by implication is deeply disturbing. So they're all complicit in it, the acceptance of what he's done. And, wouldn't they be better off if turned around to him and said, look, we understand you want to compete, but no, you can't. You can't. And he wanted to compete in the Olympics, go there in the public eye. And like they say, children watch these sports, volleyball and things. It's just, do you know what? I don't know what's going on in this world. Anyway, did not speak to reporters after the 3-set loss to Italy. Oh, good, at least they lost. A break with a long-standing IOC policy. He's not here just because he just wanted to rest his mind about it and just focus on the game, said his teammate, who said he did not notice the crowd reaction. I bet he did. The Dutch Olympic Committee has also moved him away from the Olympic Village to alternative accommodation. Because probably all the female athletes have probably said we don't want him anywhere near us. Dutch team spokesman John van Vliet said the decision to shelter Van der Velde was made by the National Olympic Committee and shared with the International Olympic Committee. Asked if they were protecting a convicted child rapist, he said, we are protecting a convicted child rapist to do his sport as best as possible and for a tournament which he qualified for. What? Oh my God. Oh my God. So what is it? So if it was a murderer, as long as they'd done their sentence, it wouldn't matter, would it? It's just unbelievable, and it just shows a complete contempt for that girl, I think. The general matter of sex conviction and sex-related crime is definitely a more important issue than sport, Mr. Van Vliet said in the mix zone after the match. In this case, we've got a person who has been convicted, who did his sentence, who did everything afterwards which he can do to be able to compete again. Good God. Resurfacing of conviction. Van der Velde had been playing volleyball for a while before his conviction caught up with him in the sporting arena. During the 2-year qualifying period for the Olympics, Van der Velde's record was not an issue. However, it resurfaced after the team played its way into the number 11 spot in the world rankings as the number 2 team for the Netherlands, earning a place at the Olympics. Well, do you know what? I don't know about you, but I think if it should always be transparent that if he's playing and going and playing at different arenas with different teams with women on them, maybe even with children on them, in the sporting world, they should know about his history. I'm sorry, he may have, done his time. Well, he didn't really do his time, and his time was only 4 years. But people have a right to know who they're dealing with, who they're mixing with. It sends chills down my spine because you just don't know, do you? You could be in one of those teams. Anyway, Mr. Van Vliet said the controversy being brought up was a surprise to Van der Velde and his teammate. Oh my God. He has been playing with him for many, many tournaments for many, many years. The last 3 years, it has never been an issue. Well, I tell you, if his teammate ever has children, maybe I wonder if he'd want him around his 12-year-old daughter. I'm not judging if it should have been or not, but it's never been an issue. And now, all of a sudden, for them, it's a surprise. So this was the thing that put me off the Olympics in the first place. This guy, you might think he's a brilliant guy, but has he got a 12-year-old daughter? Would you want this guy around your 12-year-old daughter? As I say, not talking about a guy that it wasn't even, in a family thing where they were together or, a sort of spur of the moment thing one night when he was drunk or whatever. And I'm not excusing them. I'm just saying those are like different. This guy planned it, met the girl online, planned it, went from one country to another to rape a 12-year-old girl. And now it's like everyone thinks it's fine. He's great. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Absolutely disgusting. So this was the first thing that put me off the Olympics. I don't think I've watched anything this year, to be honest. So I'm coming back to the chat now to see what you're thinking. It's just wrong, isn't it? What do you think? Is that as Jean coming? Hi, Jean. So there you go. Anyway, I think they've been knocked out now. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. But he should never have been allowed to compete. In my eyes, he should never have been allowed to compete. And that just put me off the Olympics straight off. So now, as I say, I haven't watched any of it. I've had a look every now and again at the oh yeah, he is wearing a wedding ring, Maggie. Yeah. Jem, they should. It's just beyond belief. If there are many things that somebody might do that I don't know. What if he had a record for robbery or something like that, or shoplifting, or I don't know. But it's just like, it's a bit different. Anyway, yeah, he's got a wedding ring on. I wonder if he's got any children. Oh my God, that I can't even think about that. So he shouldn't be around children. He just shouldn't be around children because, as I say, don't forget, he planned it. He travelled from one country to another to do it. It was a planned thing. People don't just do that, that aren't thinking about it. He knew the girl was 12. He knew the girl. Oh, come on, you just don't do it, do you? Oh dear me, terrible. Anyway, yeah, I think we should. I wonder, Chumba, there may have been people there that did that. I don't know. There may be people that did hold up signs and that, but you see, they won't let you see those things because they're controversial. So talking about controversial, so that was the first thing that put me off the Olympics. And now, of course, there's all this fuss about the women's boxing, and I honestly, God, I just don't know what to think about the women's boxing. So the controversy really is because the what's this woman's name? There was a fight between Imaine Khalif, who is Algerian, and she fought the Italian girl, which I don't think I've got her name anywhere. And the point is, so I'm not sure about this at all. So Imaine, my son tells me that Imaine is not a trans woman, that she was born a woman, but she's got hormone issues. And at the end of the day, gender dysmorphia is a thing, is a thing that people have. It must be a terrible thing if she's born a woman but she's got too many male hormones. But she was banned. She did have a testosterone problem, and was banned. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. So it was a very strange fight because this Italian girl gave up within, I think it was 46 seconds, was it? Let's have a look. Yeah, 46 seconds. She'd been punched twice by this woman and she withdrew. Having said that, the Italian girl is saying now that she didn't withdraw, she's not got anything to say about whether the Algerian should be able to fight. It's nothing to do with me. It's up to the Olympic Committee to decide. She's saying that you can see that she doesn't really want to get involved in the whole thing. All right, let's have a look at this. So there's been a few controversies. So what is the answer here? So this is the women's boxing, but believe me, it gets worse than this. So Khalif, the lady in red, she is the one that beat the Italian woman. The Italian woman, when you watch it, it was 46 seconds. She was a bit of a wuss, really, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, I've seen women boxing. My son boxes, and I've been to see a few fights. And the women, they can hold their own against the men. It's like, it's not that they can't hold their own. But having said that, in an actual, but they have to be matched weight-wise, don't they? I don't know. She looks massive next to the other woman. So I don't know what the weight issue is, or, if she must have passed a testosterone test or whatever. She must have done. Let's see. Oh, this is not going to just show the. Let me find the actual fight. Well, call it a fight. It lasted 46 seconds. And then the Italian woman wouldn't shake hands. Wouldn't shake hands with the. Let's see, is this it?
Carini took 2 shots to the face.
So yeah, the controversy is last year, this Imani, the girl in red, she failed a gender test. So she must have passed it this year, imagine. Otherwise she wouldn't be there, would she? But I don't know. But anyway, let's see what this guy's got to say. I'll put it back to the beginning because I hadn't shared it.
Further boxing controversy in Paris as Italian fighter Angela Carini stopped her bout with Imani Khalif, who last year failed a gender test just 46 seconds into their contest. Carini took 2 shots to the face from her Algerian opponent before throwing in the towel and then breaking down in tears in the centre of the ring. And 25-year-old Carini then failed to acknowledge Khalif when she tried to shake hands after her defeat in the 66-kilogram welterweight bout was confirmed. Khalif, also 25, is one of 2 athletes who've...
So they're both 25. I mean, tell me what you think. I don't know. But the Italian woman, she was a bit ungracious because she stopped the fight because she said she'd never been hit so hard in her life. She said her nose was bleeding. And said that she didn't want to catch. Well, I don't blame her, really. I mean, but she should be used to being punched, but she won't be used to being punched by a man. And how do we, is this right that women should have to fight women that maybe are men, really? I don't know. I just don't know. So, of course, there's been a big furore over it. J.K. Rowling, who's always got something to say, hasn't she, about trans issues. Probably Elon Musk will have a lot to say about it because he normally has something to say because he's got a trans daughter, apparently. I don't, I've got nothing at all against trans people. But surely there should be maybe a different division, or where a trans woman would fight other trans women and a trans man would fight other trans men instead of I mentioned this to my son. He said there's not enough of them. Perhaps I don't know what's the answer to this, but there's more to it. I've got more to tell you about it as well.
Been cleared to compete in the women's boxing despite being disqualified from last year's Women's World Championships for failing to meet gender eligibility criteria. The international.
So she was disqualified from last year's World Championships because she failed to meet the gender qualifications, but she's been cleared for the Olympics. That's strange as well. How can she not meet the gender qualifications in one competition, but meet them in another? And that doesn't make sense to me. Either she meets the qualifications or she doesn't.
National Olympic Committee said Khalif was disqualified in New Delhi for failing a chromosome test, but she's since been cleared to fight in Paris. What's changed, you might ask?
Exactly.
Well, at the time Khalif was disqualified in New Delhi, the International Boxing Association, or the IBA, they ran the IOC boxing competitions at the time, or the IOC recognised their regulations and criteria. But the IOC has since stripped the IBA of that role, and the boxing competition at this Olympics now falls under the Paris 2024 boxing. But right. The IOC...
Before I go on to this, is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. If this is the Olympic, all these old sort of white men deciding whether a rapist can take part in a competition, that's what's wrong in my eyes. They're just misogynistic, all of them. As far as that, there's no way that volleyball players should have been allowed to compete. And this is another controversy.
IOC has since stripped the IBA of that role, and the boxing competition at this Olympics now falls under the Paris 2024 boxing unit, which is an ad hoc unit set up by the IOC, and therefore they follow those eligibility rules this time around. Italy's family...
In other words, they set it up especially for the Olympics so they can do just whatever they want.
Family Minister Eugenia Rochella and Sports Minister Andrea Abodi had earlier raised concerns about the eligibility rules at Paris, as have some of the boxers in the women's competition. After Carini's defeat, a spokesperson for the Italian team revealed that friends and family had told her not to take to the ring at all, and her coach said, "I don't know if her nose is broken, I have to speak with the girl." Carini's tears continued as she spoke to the press after the bout, and speaking in Italian, she revealed she'd never felt a punch like it. She added that she was there to...
Yeah, I think if that was me, I would have refused to fight. Definitely. I would just said, no, forget it.
Honour her father and represent her country, and that she felt heartbroken by the outcome. Carini then revealed that after the second punch landed from Khalif, that "I couldn't breathe anymore. I went to my coach and said, enough, because it takes maturity and courage to stop. I didn't feel like fighting anymore." Carini would not be drawn on the gender row, but she did add that the decision was with the Olympics rather than her on whether Khalif should be allowed to fight. Khalif, meanwhile, was marched through the mix zone without speaking to the press at all. But prior to the contest, the Algerian Olympic Committee had defended her participation. Their statement at the time read that the COA strongly condemns the unethical targeting and maligning of our esteemed athlete Imani Khalif with baseless propaganda. It went on to add that such attacks on her personality and dignity are deeply unfair, especially as she prepares for the pinnacle of her career at the Olympics. The association has taken all necessary measures to protect our champion. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni even weighed in and claimed that it was not a fight amongst equals, but it's worth noting that Khalif has always competed as a woman, and there is no indication that she identifies as transgender or intersex. Further boxing controversy.
Okay, so yeah, well, you tell me what you think. I just think it's another installment in this parallel universe that we live in. You know, it's there's got to be something. You know, I honestly. Now then, exactly, not a fair fight, not in my eyes. But it gets worse, because now let's look at who she's going to fight next. So this lady who's won that, you know, who all the controversies about. Let's have a look at who she's going to fight next. Hang on, I've got to put some windows down. Let me put some windows down. God. Sorry, I've lost the article. So now her next opponent is Hungarian Anna Luca Hamori. So Imain Kelly, I will be watching this match, I think. So one thing, it certainly incited my interest into it, because I will definitely be watching it, because this woman is nothing like you know, the other boxers. Like, she's like a Barbie boxer. Where is she? Here she is. So this is her next opponent. So she's like a very feminine type boxer. How's that all going to go, I wonder? Wonder what she thinks about fighting the Algerian. You know, is she scared? So this is Imain. And this is her next, I nearly said next victim then, but this is her next opponent. So I can tell you my son was very interested when he saw her. So I think we'll both be watching that fight probably. So there's another picture of her. Here she is, the Hungarian. So she's complete sort of opposite, like she's going for the feminine look. I mean, she looks strong, obviously. How will she fare against Imani? So this girl, Hamori, She defeated Australia's Marissa Williamson on Thursday. Apparently, I didn't see that. I don't know what that woman was like, but she's the next opponent. So I will keep you posted on that, because I would definitely be watching that. See how she does. When are they fighting? I wonder when they're going to fight. I'll find out. Yeah, so what will that fight be like? And then there's more to it than that as well, because there's another fighter who there's a lot, another female boxer who there's a lot of controversy about, which is the Taiwanese boxer. Let's have a look at them. Just find it. Yeah, so J.K. Rowling sort of weighed in on this. Let's have a listen to this. So this is another female boxer that eventually, if they both win their fights, they will end up fighting each other probably in the final. Let's see what it says about them.
After being cleared to fight for Olympic gold, 28-year-old Taiwanese boxer and two-time world champion Lin Yuqing should be focusing on the competition, but is instead embroiled in another unwelcome controversy over her gender. Now that includes renowned author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, who's previously angered many with her outspoken stance against transgender rights. Rowling posting on X, "What will it take to end this insanity? A female boxer killed?" It's a reaction to the international.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying that fight, that short 46-second fight between those boxers was just like, allowing to, just sitting and watching a man punching a woman in the face twice. And that it was just like, that's what people were coming on Twitter to say. I've just watched a man punch a woman in the face twice, and it was legitimate. It was in the Olympics. So this is the sort of problem. So now this Taiwanese boxer, there's doubts about their gender as well. So why can't they just fight each other in a completely separate thing?
Olympic Committee's decision to clear Ling and Algerian boxer Imani Khalif to compete after both were disqualified at the World Championships last year, having failed gender tests administered by the International Boxing Association.
So they both failed gender tests at the World Championships, but those gender tests don't seem to count when it comes to the Paris Olympics. Oh my God. How can it see? I'm not being, if you fail a gender test at one competition like the World Championships, how can you then, you either fail a test or you don't? How can you pass one and fail another? I just don't get that at all. It should be the same test. You've either pass it or you fail it.
Association, a federation no longer recognized by the Olympics.
We all have a responsibility, by the way, to try to dial down this and not turn it into some kind of witch hunt. These are regular athletes who've competed for many years in boxing. They're entirely eligible. They are women on their passports. And that, I think, is enough said from me.
The Chinese Taipei Olympic Committee has emphasized that Lin's eligibility complies with international rules. Throughout her career, Lin has always competed as a woman and does not identify as transgender. It's a position Lin's team has maintained ever since she was stripped of her World Championship bronze medal last year.
So again, this is someone that has always identified as a woman, not transgender, apparently, just a female with hormonal issues.
Here, a disqualification that Lin said she had never dealt with before. While the question of whether transgender women should be allowed to compete in women's sports is fiercely debated, with critics citing safety concerns to female competitors, it's an issue that's brought invasive speculation into many female athletes and their bodies. South African sprinter and double Olympic champion Caster Semenya is still fighting a more than 5-year battle in court to overturn World Athletics rules that force female athletes with differences in sexual development to medically reduce natural hormone levels.
My last chance winning Olympics was 2016. So Paris Olympics is not really my goal. My goal is more on winning my battles, against the authorities. It's me fighting for what's right.
As for Lynn, the shot to compete in Paris is a high point in her 15-year boxing career. Lynn has fought among the best, including 2-time British Olympic gold medalist Nicola Adams in 2016. Though Lynn lost to Adams.
Oh, she lost to Nicola Adams. Well, Nicola Adams was brilliant, wasn't she? But I don't think there was any issue over Nicola Adams' gender. Why is there I just feel like if they failed a gender test in one championship, I don't see how they can, they either pass it or they fail it.
Speaking to Taiwan Plus in the lead up to Paris, Lynn described the sacrifices she's made to stay motivated to bring home Taiwan's first gold medal in the sport she loves.
就是如果说再重来一次，让我投胎再重来一次，我可能还是会选拳击。我就是要好好把握巴黎奥运这场比赛，那为自己、为台湾，然后拿到一个属于我们台湾的奥运金牌。
And Lynn's chance is coming up soon. She's the top seed in the women's 57-kilogram featherweight class in Paris, earning her a first-round bye, and will take on Uzbekistan's Sitora Turdybekova on Friday. Ethan Chen and Joyce Sun for Taiwan Plus.
I don't know. Maybe she's a different weight to that other one. Maybe they will never actually meet each other. But I'll definitely be watching that fight between the Algerian and the Hungarian, see what happens. Yeah, but Nicola Adams doesn't even come over as... I know she's gay, but she doesn't come over as being trans or... of there being any, I don't think there's, the thing is, the issue here is that these two boxers have been, they were refused entering the World Championships because of issues with their gender identity. So that's never happened with Nicola Adams or lots of female boxers. This is different from, just whether they're, I don't know, gay or, a bit sort of masculine. Actually, they failed the gender tests, so I don't know. Okay, so that's one controversy. That's another controversy from the Olympics. I think that's it from the Olympics. Don't think I've got any more controversy at the moment. Have I got another? Anyway, so I don't know. I just let me go back to this because I still. So we talk about one extreme to another. When you look, this is Imani's next opponent. So that'll be interesting because. Just to see what happens. Is it going to be a similar thing that happens? Is she going to punch her twice and then she's going to stop the fight like the Italian girl did and just say, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not having this? I don't know. Very, it's very controversial, I think. But, that's right. The other thing that was, of course, I was going to say this shit show that has been the Olympics, and it literally has been, because then there's been the thing of the water in the Seine, isn't it? The River Seine that they decided they were going to do the triathlon in, and they announced one day that the water was unfit to do it, and then the next day suddenly it was fit to use. I mean, I don't think I would have wanted to go swimming in there. And they haven't used the River Seine It's been banned for 100 years. Nobody's been allowed to swim in it. Someone's screaming outside. I'm presuming it's a kid. There's a kid that lives up the road that just screams constantly. But I hope someone could be being murdered out there. But I would never take any notice because they're all so noisy most of the time. Anyway, I just think, oh, there's probably someone out there being murdered. So yeah, nobody's been able to swim in the Seine for 100 years. It's been banned for anyone to swim because it's dangerous to swim in. And then they decided, oh no, we're going to use it for the Olympics. And then the first day that they tried to use it, it was full of E. coli. They blamed it on the rain. And then suddenly the next day they said, oh yeah, it's okay. Sorry, you wouldn't have got me in there, that's for sure. I don't know. What a weird Olympics it's been anyway.